some actors refuse to compromise, even if it means defying studios or changing entire scripts. From Brad Pitt saving Seven's shocking ending to Dwayne Johnson rewriting Rampage's finale, these are the movie scenes stars flat out refuse to film. Brad Pitt fought to keep one of cinema's most shocking endings intact. In Seven, Detective Mills discovers John Doe has murdered his wife, forcing him into a brutal choice that ends with Doe's death. Studio executives wanted a safer conclusion where Tracy lived, and Mills resisted killing Doe. Another draft even had Somerset pull the trigger instead, but Pitt refused, insisting the original ending stay as written. His determination convinced the studio to back down, preserving the grim finale that made Seven unforgettable. Without Pitt's push, the film's legendary "what's in the box" moment might never have existed. Dwayne Johnson refused to let his giant gorilla co-star die in Rampage. In the original script, George sacrificed himself at the end of the film, but Johnson wasn't having it. He told the studio he didn't want fans leaving with sadness when they came for a monster-filled blockbuster. Even after producers argued that George's death made sense dramatically, Johnson threatened to walk away from the project unless the ending was changed. His stance won out. The story was rewritten, so George survived the final battle, giving audiences the big, fun payoff Johnson believed they deserved. Keanu Reeves turned down Speed 2, Cruise Control, for one very simple reason: the ship was just too slow. After the massive success of the original, the studio expected him to return as Officer Jack Traven. Reeves admitted he loved the idea of working with Sandra Bullock again, but the sequel's script, centered on a cruise liner, didn't make sense to him for a movie called Speed. His refusal came at a cost. Fox was so unhappy with his decision that they quietly stopped hiring him for nearly a decade. Instead of chasing the sequel, Reeves chose to perform Hamlet on stage. Christina Ricci was only a child during the Addams Family, but she completely changed the film's ending. The original script revealed Uncle Fester was just an imposter named Gordon Craven, with the Addamses accepting him anyway. Ricci, along with the rest of the cast, disagreed. They believed Gomez would never stop searching for his real brother. Because Ricci was the most articulate among them, the cast asked her to plead their case. She delivered a passionate 10-minute argument to the director and producer, convincing them to rewrite the ending. Thanks to her, Fester was revealed as the genuine article. Thandiwe Newton refused to film a sex scene in Rock'n'Rolla after Gerard Butler showed up with a nasty throat infection. The script originally called for an intimate sequence between their characters, Stella and 1-2, but Newton wasn't willing to risk getting sick. Director Guy Ritchie had to improvise, and instead of a traditional love scene, he cut together a 4-second montage of rapid reactions. The clever workaround turned what could have been a filming disaster into one of the movie's funniest and most memorable moments, all because Newton drew the line on set. Robin Williams refused to let Mrs. Doubtfire end with a forced Hollywood happy ending. Studio executives once pushed for Daniel and Miranda to reconcile as a couple, wrapping the story up neatly. But Williams, who had personally gone through a divorce, rejected the idea, believing it wouldn't reflect real life. He felt it could even give children of divorced parents false hope. Co-star Sally Field, who had also experienced divorce, agreed with him. Director Chris Columbus ultimately sided with the actors, and the movie closed with Daniel and Miranda staying apart, but learning how to co-parent together instead. Ray Fiennes once had to fight to keep M from becoming a Bond villain. After stepping into the legendary role in Skyfall, director Sam Mendes floated the idea of turning M into the secret antagonist Inspector. But Fiennes refused, standing firm that M is never the bad guy. The discussion reportedly got intense, yet he held his ground. In the end, the storyline shifted, and another agent betrayed Bond instead. Thanks to Fiennes, M stayed the steadfast ally audiences have always known, rather than being rewritten into Blofeld's shadow. Richard Kiel refused to let his towering Bond villain Jaws be paired with an even bigger partner in Moonraker. The original script planned for a comically oversized romance, but Kiel pushed back, saying it wouldn't work for him or the audience. Instead, he suggested the character should fall in love with someone much smaller, creating a more charming and memorable contrast. Producers agreed, and Blanche Ravaillac was cast as Dolly, the petite woman who wins Jaws' heart. The choice not only softened the steel-toothed villain, but also gave fans one of the most unexpected romances in the Bond franchise. Viggo Mortensen turned down the chance to bring Aragorn back for the Hobbit trilogy. Long before the films began shooting, a producer asked if he'd reprise his role as the future King of Gondor. Mortensen immediately reminded them that Aragorn doesn't appear in the Hobbit book and that the story takes place 60 years before The Lord of the Rings. Adding Aragorn would have gone against the source material, so he refused to return. In the end, Peter Jackson's prequels went on without him, leaving Aragorn's journey to begin exactly where Tolkien had originally written it. Emma Watson drew the line during filming of This Is the End. The original plan had her appear in a wild scene where Danny McBride shows off Channing Tatum in a gimp suit as his captive. Watson initially agreed, but when Tatum improvised by breakdancing in a thong, she decided it had gone too far and walked off set. Seth Rogen later confirmed there were no hard feelings, and Watson returned the next day to continue filming. She even supported the movie's release, but that controversial scene ultimately went ahead without her. Joaquin Phoenix refused to perform a biblical scene exactly as written in Mary Magdalene. In the Gospel of John, Jesus heals a blind person by rubbing mud into their eyes. But when Phoenix was asked to do the same, he flat out rejected it, saying he would never smear dirt on someone's eyeballs. Instead, he reworked the moment, licking his thumb and gently placing it over the woman's eyes. It was a small change, but it transformed the scene from something harsh and uncomfortable into a more intimate act, showing how even Phoenix sets limits on what he's willing to do. Joseph Gordon-Levitt once stopped 50-50 from ending with a typical Hollywood kiss. The studio wanted his character Adam to seal the story with a romantic moment with Anna Kendrick's character Catherine, but Gordon-Levitt refused, arguing that if they filmed it, the studio would use it, even though it didn't fit the tone. He felt the film was about survival and emotional honesty, not a rom-com ending. Kendrick agreed, and the kiss was never shot. Instead, the movie closes with Adam and Catherine simply preparing for their first real date, a subtle, hopeful moment that stayed true to the story. Sean Connery was asked to return as Henry Jones Sr. in Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, but he turned it down. After his memorable performance alongside Harrison Ford in The Last Crusade, Spielberg wanted him back, yet Connery rejected the offer, saying the part wasn't substantial enough to pull him out of retirement. He even suggested that the story would work better if Indy's father was written out entirely. Spielberg took that advice to heart, and by the time the fourth film arrived, Henry Jones Sr. had been declared dead off screen, closing the chapter without Connery's return. Anna Kendrick had to fight to keep a problematic romance out of Pitch Perfect 3. The original script tried to pair her character, Becca, with Theo, a music producer introduced in the film. Kendrick strongly objected, pointing out how inappropriate it would be for a character in power to start a relationship with Becca. Even after the romance was cut, producers attempted to sneak in a kissing scene, but Kendrick rejected that idea too. By holding her ground, she kept the storyline focused on music, friendship, and empowerment, rather than forcing in an unnecessary and uncomfortable love angle.